Hey there, it's Rhonda Melogy, and in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the top 3 things that I've learned after homeschooling 4 children for 15 years. Now, this week has been a week of high and low emotions. I think that for parents, right before their children graduate, you start to reflect on baby and elementary school and middle school and high school and highs and lows and everything in between. But this year, it hits a little bit different because this year is the graduation of my last child, Jack, who was actually the only one of the 4 that was homeschooled from beginning to end. So preschool all the way through high school. But it also ends a 15-year, what I would say, career. So I have now, quote unquote, officially retired. And in reflecting on those 15 years, there were a lot of things that happened. We're a military family, so there were deployments in there. I built my business, I sold my business, and all of those things that were happening. And in reflecting myself, I think that I have 3 really, really big takeaways from that experience. And I think the first one is that we can all do hard things. There wasn't any special circumstance around us deciding that we wanted to homeschool our children. If I'm being honest, it's probably more of a me thing in that I felt that I have 4 kids and I wanted to make sure that each one of their needs was met. I struggled as a student all the way through high school. It wasn't until college and then my master's degree where I really found, I guess, my rhythm and my routine to excel. And I knew that with 4 kids and the chaos that is, because we had them in 5 years. So they're very, very close together. I didn't want anyone to get left behind or to have something where maybe there was an area of opportunity that we didn't notice that we couldn't improve and make better. And so I still remember going to the district office, and Jack at the time was strapped on and I was holding the other 2 and then the third hand as we were walking into the district office to withdraw the kids. Now, the other thing that you need to know was that the kids were actually in one of the most coveted magnet programs in our area. And so I was facing even more scrutiny of what did she know that we weren't already providing. And I think in the beginning, we did not make the decision lightly. And it was something that I'm like, okay, I can do this. So I did all of the prep work. I did all of the work prior to kind of launching into the school year for our very first year. And it was complete chaos. You know, all of the things, what if we get done early? What if I miss something? I don't know all of the cool teacher tricks. Are my kids getting everything they need? And then there were always these conversations with parents because my kids always played sports and club sports. There were always these conversations. Well, I could never do that. We would be at ends, if we homeschooled. And I think that the relationship is different. It is not a parent child. It is more of a teacher child. And it was a decision that we all wanted to do. And so I think that now I can say I can do hard things. There have been other trials and tribulations in my life, things that we have faced as a family. I know that we can do hard things, but it is such a gift that we have given the children. Certainly in the beginning, way back 15 years ago, my seasonal business was very, very new, so wasn't contributing a lot financially. The fact that I was homeschooling now, obviously I am home, and so that monthly income coming into our house was cut in half. But it was something that in the beginning I knew was a good choice for my family. Now, when the children get together and when the older ones come home, they can't wait to see each other. They're friends. They grew up together, literally in a one-room classroom. And so I really feel like it is a gift that will continue to give back year after year after year. The next thing that I would say that I've learned after homeschooling for 15 years is that everything is figure outable. Say that 10 times fast. And what I mean by that, I was not a really good math student and I was not a really good science student growing up. And so then how did I figure out how to get my kids what they needed? Well, I think one of my superpowers is I take these big, overwhelming problems and I break them down into tiny steps. But more importantly, I get the resources that we need in order to complete the task. And luckily, there were so many moms that went before me and such a wonderful community. And all the conversations that we had led me to the resources and the places that we needed for physics, for biology lab, for calculus, for all of those hard things that this mama was not very good at. I did not want my deficit to be their deficit and not have this experience. And at the end, I can say all four have graduated with honors. They have graduated with academic scholarships. My daughter graduated with a D1 scholarship as an athlete. And I can say for certain that everything is figure outable. Now, here's one thing that I do want to say about that. It's interesting that after 15 years and now having graduated all four children, I still don't feel like I am the expert. And I think that it's interesting in today's world in online marketing where you see people who maybe they've hit 7 figures, maybe they've hit 8 figures, and now all of a sudden in a very short period of time, they become the expert. And I think that probably is a mindset shift that I need to be making myself. But I always feel that I'm always learning, and being a mom of 4, I know, and I even told Jack this on the way to classical today, is that there is no absolute. And because I've seen them do things that I didn't think that they could do, i.e. scale to the top shelf in the cabinet to get the cookie. And so it's really hard for me to say like 100%, I can tell you X, Y, and Z. But what I can tell you is that everything is figure outable. And the final thing that I will say that I have learned after 15 years of homeschooling is that I never would change my investment of where I shifted my time and focus. Now, let me explain that. There was, in the very beginning, demands on my time in a very different way than there is now. As the kids get older and based on their program, they do become more independent. That doesn't mean that they don't need you. And I will say that as they shift into college and as they shift into early adulthood, they need you more. Just my experience. But what I will say is that I'll never regret the decision that we made to homeschool. I'll never regret that it was a decision for my focus, time, and attention. The other thing that I will say in there, and I see this a lot, and I understand it because I felt this in the beginning, especially for women, but I understood that I needed to protect my time as well, if that makes sense. Meaning that my identity couldn't just be wrapped up in everything for the kids and everything for Daniel, that I did need to carve out space for myself. That's been very like a steadfast thing that I have made sure that I did from the beginning. A little bit of a battle, a little bit of figuring things out, but then there became a rhythm and a routine. And instead of being resentful and screaming for attention myself, I made it work because it's something that I wanted and it's something that I knew I needed, especially as Daniel and I now transition into what theoretically would be empty nesters. I mean, the kids are still coming home. We have one that has just graduated college that will be, that is looking for a job. And then the kids are going to come home during breaks and on weekends. And so I don't really feel like right now we're empty nesters, but I will say that because I valued my time and because I valued the relationship with Daniel, we will be married 31 years this year, and putting us a priority, that it's just going to be a different shift of time, attention, and focus. And while I almost mourn the experience, I also celebrate what is coming up next. And I am happy for the children. And I can't wait to experience the new things that I know will experience in the next 5, 10, 15 years. So nothing really earth-shattering at the end of the day, but for someone who has started something and been consistent, which there are very few things that I am consistent on. I could count on one hand. I can say that I can do hard things. I can figure things out. And I understand where to invest my time. And so my advice to you, pick one of these and focus on it. You know, doing the hard thing could be doing something in your life. It could be doing something in your business. Understanding that everything is figure outable. Y'all, seriously, I thought it was going to mess up my kids. Nobody wants to mess up your kids, right? When it comes to, are they going to get everything that they need? And the true test is that, you know, when they do get in college, how are they going to adapt? Are they going to be able to keep up? And my son graduated summa cum laude. The last 2 years, every semester he had a 4.0. He was the only one in his program to ever get the CCNA certification, which has a 90% failure rate first go around, and he got it. The other two, Maggie and Thomas, there is a transition when you get to college, and it isn't easy. But they have it's figured outable. They have figured it out, and are every semester now at least Dean's List or above a 3.7, 3.8. And so everything is figure outable. Don't not do something because you're already telling yourself you don't know how to do it. You can figure it out. And just like pick your battles with where you want to invest your time. And I really feel like, again, as women, there are so many demands on our time. As women, I really want to encourage you at some point, some way, to make yourself a priority. I think Robin Arzon, my favorite Peloton instructor, self-care is not selfish. And that's a mantra that I say to myself. And, you know, my mental health and well-being is just as important, because we tend to be like the nucleus that kind of makes everything go. So I kind of choked up. I'm amazed that I did not cry during today's session, but I hope that today's episode was helpful for you and helps you look in the direction as we move forward. Any links that we've talked about today can be found down in the description. I just appreciate your time in listening to me share. All right. Take care. We'll talk soon.